Yeah, I didn't open it.
So if it doesn't connect after that, you can just click it
Well,
on
I
the
was
arrow
pleasantly
and then shift it over
surprised.
to the.
Evan and I chose the broadband and the lights for the Easterns, the actions. What was it,
So
like
they're all-
electrify?
And it should record automatically. So that we can upload it to.
It was
channel at some point.
the thing that you first cast
Should you show how
last year.
Zoom. I can't set you up as a co-host in our thing because you're not licensed.
Yeah, so it's the two things that discuss it is doing well. Evan and I picked that one and then the Dr. Dog.
That's how you get water.
So-
I don't know.
If it doesn't work, just usually reset.
So basically-
Yeah, I didn't even think that. We're not there yet. We did what we could do.
Yeah.
Siri?
Well, there was also,
Very cool.
like on the email list, I don't know if you noticed.
I can empathize.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Oh,
Busy.
oh,
I put down the ED.
Would you like me to monitor?
oh yeah, well, ED's on here, right?
The Zoom?
Oh, it's on there, but I'm just saying. that it didn't have my name.
Run so many,
No, I did that.
so many public.
Yeah.
I should have done what the other was. Jan is out, so I'll take notes.
Great.
And I won't worry about that.
There was a tree thing that had like which was
If you were comfortable sharing.
educating, yeah, which was like educating the public.
Okay, also share.
And I like, I was like.
There's an
oh,
official
maybe
place
it's
to put that somewhere. I haven't gotten around
I don't
to
wanna.
that.
Great. Yeah, that's what.
There's no actions to back it.
It wasn't on-
Yeah.
Just so.
No.
That's one thing.
And I was like, you know, there is
I haven't seen any of the committee.
We can share
I'm
that.
open to whatever. My stuff is information. Except someone taking over the meeting. I'm not okay with that one.
No. I'm glad to know we can be a little bit more. That's up the committee rules.
A lot of people was in that to set up a very long history of committee work. Another friend of mine may be coming tonight. What's that? Another friend of mine might be coming tonight. Oh, yeah? That's what you know. So. Who's that? Deb Morgan.
Oh, okay. Is she,
So I'm
what
going
is
to
she
pause
coming
the recording until we begin.
Interested in what's going on. Okay, yeah.
oh, but I. Apologies, we're now unmuted.
Okay. So we don't have anyone else online yet.
No.
So,
Oh, so why don't we join it? Nobody else joins? Nobody joins, it's not worth connecting, right?
what's that?
If nobody joins, it's not worth connecting. How many people want to see?
We're also recording.
Yeah.
We've got it figured out, so. Not too many. I'm missing Jan. Who else is missing?
Lisa.
Lisa. Okay. So the minutes from last week, Jan put them into a program I don't have access to. So I couldn't get them, so we'll just do those next week. So we can move on to, and I really kind of was thinking that we could have a little bit less of a formal conversation this week. I felt like we were kind of wanting to do that anyway. So I think we can do that, but conversation with Shri today over email, we kind of zeroed in on some like action steps and kind of made a little more sense to me what we're doing. So just to kind of clarify what we just did with those self-evaluation forms, the way I'm thinking of it is like, there are all these steps that a town has to take in order to be eligible for these grants. And so some of those steps have to be done by somebody. And so we are that somebody that when the procedure says people in town shall do this, we all signed up to be the people to do that, which kind of seems like some of those tasks are sort of odd, like the one we just did. I got a lot of feedback from people that said, why are we doing this? All these answers come from Dennis anyway. And so, but the exercise of doing it is sort of, I guess, showing that we put this information out, ask for feedback, and then the next step of that will be the public workshop. So those were really the solid action items that Sri highlighted for us. So scheduling a public workshop. And then after that, once we have the public workshop, the next step after that will be to get a resolution passed by the town, and it would be like a letter of intent kind of thing or whatever from the select board that takes in sort of what we provided on these self-evaluation forms and what information that we get from the public workshop. And so then that letter of intent just kind of says, we've identified this or this, and that's what we're going to go for. So that's the process that we're on for this part now. So that being said, scheduling a public workshop is like the specific thing that we need to do. So I'll just open it up for us to discuss how, when, whatever we want to do that. Anybody have any thoughts? Go ahead.
Yes, Sri made some great points last week about perhaps scheduling more than one public workshop so that we have, we can hold them at times when different people can attend. So I think maybe we should talk about the number of workshops we want to hold and the kinds of people from the community we want to try to engage with. We may want to approach it in a topical way where we talk about emissions reductions priorities in one meeting, and then another meeting we talk about being resilient to climate change, or we could have a youth focused meeting and then a general public. I think there are a couple of different ways we could go about approaching this. I would say, from my experience, maybe approaching this in terms of we're going to talk about we're going to collect ideas on everybody's ideas to reduce emissions or be more resilient. That might be a way to organize the meetings and keep them focused, as opposed to trying to get groups of people, like all ideas from all youth in one meeting and then different ideas from different people in another meeting. That's not it. Those are my 2 cents.
So once we have a date, how did we publish this? Are we going to let the public of Wiscasset know that this is actually come down to us for the money that has been set aside by Governor Mills' appropriations for various towns, and exactly what we are and the other towns are? I don't think people know that.
This is a preliminary step.
So under deliverable 1 and 2, under task 3 mailers, and then 5 press releases total. And those go, so the mailers are pre-meeting, and then press releases as time goes on as to what we accomplish.
But where does it say that we do the workshop? Is that
Right here.
so? That's below
Right. We have to advertise it
the
before we
press
do.
releases. Yeah. So those have got to come.
Yeah, but I would say we need to probably decide how many meetings we want to have, how many public workshops, and how we want to focus those workshops before talking about how we're going to advertise.
By December, I think is when we have to do this.
I think we gotta get it done
December.
by the 3rd week of October.
What's that?
I think we have to get that done by the 3rd week of October.
The workshop?
Yeah.
All of them?
I thought she said something about September.
Yeah, we were talking last week of September, first 2 weeks of October.
In her email.
Yeah, she said public workshops will need to be scheduled for October. If we can get them done in September, I think great, but if not, we can aim for October.
Final submission of the whole grant is before Thanksgiving.
Well, that's not what she said to me today.
She only said this, which is what she gave out about the different times.
Okay.
So to your point, Cassie, to try to get folks to attend
Yeah,
specific
it doesn't
meetings based on
specify
the
that.
area, their area of interest. Do you put something in the paper, point people to say like some sort of survey monkey, take a tally of what everybody's interested in, then come up with some 3 separate meetings and then publish that information, let people choose the meeting they want to attend?
We could certainly approach it that way. We would have to, I think as a group, commit to going through the survey results. Right, and doing that exercise.
Okay.
But that's definitely one way. I guess probably, I would say not everybody would be comfortable with doing that.
True.
Some people might, but I think it's a good idea to think about multiple ways to collect information. Because some people might feel comfortable just doing digital only, they may not try and come to meetings, and others might be comfortable with things.
So we have to determine what our priorities are before we have a public meeting. Right,
Yes.
2 to 6.
that's why we're scheduling this meeting, so we can
Correct.
talk about it.
2 to 6 what?
Yeah.
2 to 6.
2 to 6 priorities. If you look at that chart, that becomes before the meetings that we get to the 2 to 6, and then I thought, to my understanding, that's what the meeting was about. We went down the field, a few priorities, and then let the public let loose on the subject.
After we look at what she has compiled, that as individuals we voted on. Right.
That makes sense to me. If we've submitted our surveys and we have results and say we're interested in 3 specific topics, let's sort of channel the public meetings to align with our areas of interest.
Yeah.
Let's go with the ones that have the most choices and percentages.
Do you see that on those charts?
I do, yes. So she had a top level, Sri sent us all the top level results, and the first place priority was environmental climate solutions. I'm not quite sure what that means actually.
Well, on the first graph, they had modernized maintenance buildings. Oh, those are 2 things
We're doing
We're
well.
doing well,
Yeah,
but I would say the priorities,
so,
which could be improved in the near term.
Well, then there's also the top 3 to 5 priorities for the next steps, which is
right.
3rd down, which is a tie between transportation and housing in the communities. It's like,
Under, after we did the Google form, it showed the results from everybody, so it had the direct numbers associated, not just the letters. Now I can't get to that unless we make a big one.
Yeah, I voted to install EV chargers and only Jan's name is next to that.
No, that's, you're looking at the one that it says what we're doing right, I think. Even more confusing.
Yeah, I found them confusing. She does a lot of work,
Oh, I
but
see what you're saying.
Sure.
Should we walk through what the results were? Maybe that can help us to identify what those topics are. Priorities to focus on the public meetings.
I'm looking for it because Sheree sent it this morning, but I couldn't find it.
Do you want to walk us through that? Or would you like me to?
If you can, I think you're more prepared to do that.
Okay, got it right here. And full disclosure, I have not had time to think about these results. So I'll be learning with you in real time. So the results said that our town is doing really well with modernizing buildings and embracing the future of transportation. Near-term improvements needed environmental climate solutions, which I'm going to guess is strategy E, protecting the natural environment. I'm not quite sure. But second place, the strategies have there was a three-way tie for second place. Near-term improvements needed transportation, clean energy, and climate-ready infrastructure investments. Strategies A, C, and G. I also have the climate plan here if anyone wants to look at it.
Should A, C, and G for second place, and first was category E?
She said environmental climate solutions, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant. So perhaps as we read through,
Right.
that might be strategy F, healthy and resilient communities.
So E is protect the environment and promote natural climate solutions.
Yes, it could certainly be that. Yeah. Long-term strategic planning areas, first place, strategies F and G were tied. F is healthy and resilient communities. G is climate-ready infrastructure investment. Second place was strategy E, environmental climate solutions. Okay, that was long-term. Third place, transportation, buildings, and community engagement were all tied. So the top 3 to 5 priorities are as follows in order of priority. First place, strategy areas A and F are tied. A is transportation, F is healthy and resilient communities. Second place, strategies C, E, and G are tied. C is emissions reduction, clean energy. E is environmental climate solutions, and G is climate-ready infrastructure investment. So she listed the next steps would be to review additional climate action team member and town manager input, and then to discuss choices, reasoning, and get clarification about specific community actions were not indicated, and then clarify the prioritization process and communicate with the service provider, town manager, and select board.
So each one of those categories had subheadings, and those are more specific. So which subheadings are we most interested in? Well,
Yeah,
I just went through the survey to get all of the letters to the numbers of what we actually filled out. I'm putting it into a Word document.
This
It's on there,
is
so-
what her attachment is at the end of her. Yeah.
sure.
I was gonna ask who's her.
Sheree Verrill is our, we call her practitioner. I don't know what her title is, facilitator.
so okay,
Basically the person that walks,
Service provider.
service provider. SHRI.
Okay, so yeah, there were some, I have some, just the PDF right here. And in terms of community actions that could be approved in the near term, yeah, it wasn't broken down here. Are you able to see more specific results by sub-strategy?
Yep, I'm working on copying it, put it into a Word document to email everybody.
I think maybe for the purposes of our public meetings, so we might be okay sticking with just the total strategy or the umbrella strategies headings.
Are you talking about
I don't think so.
near-term improvements and long-term strategy, those being the umbrella terms?
I'm thinking like strategy A, C, and D could be, or sorry, whatever the three strategies were. Strategies A and F were the first place priorities. So if we were to hold 3 public meetings, we could do a transportation one and one on healthy and resilient community strategies. And then we could maybe cover the other strategies in a 3rd meeting. There are different ways we could approach this.
I feel like I would like to start asking the community the same questions that we're asking, or that we're answering, which is what are we doing well, what do we need to do? I think there are a lot more perspectives in this town than 7 people or 9 people. And I think we might get more specific answers, maybe historical ones, people who know things that have been an issue for a while, kind of stuff. So I think maybe starting with those open-ended questions would be a good idea. And then focus, like you're saying, on the strategies from there. Just kind of what you're describing, but kind of starting where we're catching more perspectives of the initial step.
So what questions do you think we'd like to pose to the community?
Well, just kind of like what the evaluation form asks us. What are we doing well, and what do we need to improve as a community?
Those are great questions. One really nice public survey question I've seen the city of San Diego post was they asked their community members, what do you want to see in the future of our community with climate change? And they found that asking, and I'll tell you from the state process, asking people a lot of like technical questions about specific climate policies is like, it's so high level, it's too in the weeds for most people. But I liked that San Diego approach, and I asked people, what do you want to see in the future? And people talked about all kinds of different approaches and different priorities. And I thought it was a nice, like, easy way to engage people, and then people really shared information, and then the town was able to fit that into like, oh, you know, if people really want to be able to bike places, maybe we should put some funds into that or different things.
Everybody with a laptop now should have it on their email. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but there it is.
Thanks, Evan.
Yep. Yeah, so these are all options that got 2 votes, and then under long-term individual responses to from each person of what the long-term priorities should be. Would you like a copy?
Yes.
Sure. What's your email?
DEMO.XMOLA@gmail.
What's the husband?
It's a password, but then
There you go, that should hopefully help in there.
Discastic, it's the TOW.
I'll see you later.
Yeah,
I got kicked off.
And then if those letters and numbers mean nothing to you, I'll forward you something else.
So those, the A1, A2, all that, does that correspond to?
Yep.
this?
yeah. it
Yes.
corresponds to- Refer to.
So is this saying everything got one vote and then a small amount of things got two votes?
Correct.
yes.
A1, A2, A6, A10, B1, B4.
Mhm. Then when you group, there's more like A's and B's down the line. So you have like A2 and A10, that's 3 down the line. That's also in the first bar. And then you have the B's.
Should be on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't break up the different A's, right? It just says 3 A's.
What part are you looking at?
Well, the first part, the chart that you just sent out. The chart you just sent out.
Yeah, all the way to the left, those.
Yeah,
one,
on
two,
the
three.
left, yeah.
Six things
A.
got 2
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah, so how do you break that out?
That is the list of sub-strategy actions in the community action list.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what percentage of those? I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 choices there, and it's 2%. Well, so it's a 0.5% for each one.
No,
No.
each one of those things got two votes out of everybody. But it also wasn't formatted correctly, because if you look over to the right, you see A2 again, and you see A2 and A10 again, et cetera, et cetera. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, so why are they?
There's 9 of us and we all got 2 votes.
Oh.
So there should be 18, there should be 18 picks, basically.
7
But
people
not
did,
everybody.
so there should be 14.
How many members do we have?
9, but only 7 people did the.
Yeah. not
Gotcha.
everybody.
Gotcha. Well, who didn't do it?
So if you,
I got it in late.
Gotcha.
Folks, but I did get it in.
I did it in the wrong format.
so you need to,
I felt shame into doing it.
you need to see how many A2s there are. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And A1s,
Right,
A2s.
and then 3 people chose 10 things.
So A2 is chosen 1, 2, 3. 3 times.
Best as I can tell. And A10 was chosen twice.
So A1, we can start writing these down, is purchase or lease EVs, electric vehicles for municipal owned vehicle fleets.
Let's see if I can get that more along that.
E1, purchase EVs for our municipal fleet. E2 is install EV chargers in public parking areas, EV being electric vehicles. It looks like A10 might have also been a higher priority. And that is adopt a broadband plan that reduces the need to drive.
I think some people might have gotten that backwards as to what we're doing right versus near term, because we've just about exhausted that, wouldn't you say, Marty?
Yeah. We can't do anything with that because.
Well, no, not that we can't, we've done.
Yeah, we've done as much as we can do.
We're
So
done.
even if we had an extra $50,000, it's not gonna move the.
What are you guys talking about?
A10,
A10.
But what
They
are you
said
saying?
two or more people said, I think Susan had it on backwards on one, so I think multiple people had it backwards as to what are two things you should do in the near term. I think people mismatched and said, what are we doing right? So if we need to do a broadband plan, then we've done poorly, because that's what we've been doing. You understand?
Yeah, so that's.
I'm not sure what you're saying that we've been doing.
Under near term, multiple people wrote down A10 that we need to make a broadband plan. We've done that, we're doing that.
Okay, we have a broadband plan?
Don't we, Marty?
That's.
I don't know, you were there for 18 months. and
Okay, that's what.
I'm not being a jerk.
That's what I'm
I'm trying to be sarcastic.
No, that's what I'm trying to clarify, because I'm wondering if
Right.
a broadband plan is the same thing as what we
Yeah.
were talking about. Because
Definitely.
that was talking about trying to get Wi-Fi here.
So we
A broadband plan might be a different thing about how we, a policy that says how broadband is used by our town to, this is under the category of reducing driving.
Yeah,
So if that's what that's talking about, then there may be some more specific.
We're looking at-
drilling in there.
We're looking at where to put the $50,000.
right, that's,
Putting it broadband isn't gonna move the decision, because we're kind of at a standstill because we don't have enough.
No,
Right.
I'm assuming that what this is talking about with broadband is saying what we currently have, the broadband infrastructure that we currently have. This is talking about creating a plan to use that broadband by the town in a specific way. Not what we've been doing on the committee, which is to build a new broadband network. That's sort of a
that
different,
is actually what this one's about.
to build.
It's about
build it out.
access.
yeah.
It's
So
about
then on the
that.
next level is what you're talking about, is yes, build and then maximize the impact. Type of thing is how I
This
understood
this
it.
one's really about just extending access to everybody who doesn't have
And what I'm saying is, we can't put $50,000 to it.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna change the needle.
Yep,
So.
Okay.
Well, if it's about building a network, then what I'm saying is a moot point, so.
Right.
it. Yeah, so easy win, we can check that one off. Okay, so then it looks like we have some strategies from B, buildings that were also identified as prioritized. We've got B1 and B4.
B4 looks like it was on there 3 times total.
Okay, so we've got B1 is adopt and execute a plan for energy efficiency and building envelope weatherization improvements for municipal and tribal buildings and collaborate with local school district for school building improvements. Execute. Energy efficiency and weatherization. And then B4 is install a heat pump or VRF system for heating and cooling and heat pump water heating in municipal and tribal buildings. Does anybody see other B sub-strategies that were prioritized in the results? 2, 3.
So B7 is nothing that you would put money towards.
There should be, oh, we went to B10, that's what somebody did.
So, Evan, when you grab these results,
Yeah,
those were, the top were near term and then long term are the ones at the bottom.
Yep.
So those are actually two different sets here.
yes,
Okay.
Because I think it said everybody pick 3 to 5 long-term.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then pick 2 near-term.
Yeah.
It wasn't the easiest.
So going back to the executive summary that she provided us with. Those results are a little bit different than what I'm seeing here. And I think Shri did some data quality cleanup and may have incorporated or clarified. She reached out to me to clarify one of my questions. I'm wondering, should we, basically how we should, when we're thinking about our public meeting topics that we wanna, or potential priorities to put in front of the public at our public meetings, do we focus on those near-term improvements, those priorities, or long-term strategic planning areas?
I think near-term.
Yeah. I agree. Does everybody feel like near-term priorities are the best one?
But if you look at her pie, 33% for near term was environmental climate solutions, right?
Yes. Yeah, so based on Shri's executive summary, environmental climate solutions were top priority. And then we had transportation, clean energy, and climate ready infrastructure investments taking second place, 3-way tie. So we sort of have 4 strategy areas or 4 topics that could be discussed at public meetings.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about our sample size. I don't know that we've really actually captured the true picture of the town, just amongst us.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I think we should leave it more open-ended and we take it to the town
Okay.
instead of selecting. I don't even know what these headings, what comes under them. They're not very specific, and I think we've got I'm not seeing anywhere in here where we've really captured the water pump resilience, doing roads, the marinas, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be under infrastructure.
And I'm wondering if our focus on buildings and these results isn't driven somewhat by our discussions about Johnson Controls being like right up on our shoulders.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm saying I'm really skeptical about these data.
Yeah.
And I think we need more. And so that's,
I agree.
yeah, so.
Yeah, because I know I was going up very little, much less data than I would.
Nothing stands out. Yeah.
Yeah, so do we feel like we were suggesting earlier that perhaps doing some pre-meeting surveys
somehow
might help to prioritize, or
I mean, you could just ask in general, list each of these strategy areas and see what everybody seems to be interested in. And have the meetings based on that.
Wasn't there a Google form a couple of years ago on, was it rezoning Wiscasset? Can't remember, or you or Carla, I think sent it to me, and it was like, you would identify where in Wiscasset you lived. I think this is, I don't know, but anyway, it was simple, it's Google form, and you just filled it out if you resident of Wiscasset. And I'm thinking, what if it was something like that?
Broadband.
Might have been,
Maybe.
yeah, I think it was, you're asked to do a speed test, to go to a certain website and test the speed of your broadband.
Maybe.
There's
Oh,
also one on
Oh,
marijuana.
I thought it was rezoning, but
There's one on
whatever it was, it
marijuana.
was simple.
Like more than a year or two ago,
Yeah,
like blow up, yeah,
maybe.
that sounds kind of familiar.
But it was easy. It was like, how long have you lived here? Do you work and live here? Or like, and then it was like 5 different options of like different regions of Wiscasset.
That might have been the comprehensive plan.
Yes,
That sounds
yes, yep,
Oh,
That's
that's what it
exactly-
was.
Last updated.
Well, it's kind of supposed to be
2007.
It's been a long time
But,
ago, yeah.
but it, I mean,
We're
something.
meeting in 2 days to get it started again. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just, some reason thought of that, of what if we took this stuff and here you go, like look at it, and then what are we doing? I mean, we could ask the same questions, or if we just wanted to make it super simple and go near term.
Yeah.
What could we do near term, and
Super
then
simple,
literally just that one question, pick 2,
yeah,
hear the results.
because your other option is throw the whole kind
Yeah.
of mitigation
And I
plan
mean-
at them and then have nobody. read
Yeah.
it, and-
I mean, it's taking us 30 minutes, because we're like, there's 4 different questions and they're almost asking the same thing, so
Yeah, I
one
agree.
question, I'm thinking, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but.
I like that. I was actually thinking, does anybody see an easy way to simplify this list?
I mean, we've already, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed, even unless I'm speaking of term, that the near future is something we should look at,
I think so, yeah.
and,
well, there's quite a few things that don't require money. It takes planning, whatever, it doesn't require money. For example, reduce greenhouse gases, conduct a baseline energy usage by municipal government buildings, electricity, heating. Oh, yeah, that takes an energy audit, so we're not gonna have a specific thing for that in time to ask for.
So we could break this apart a little bit. We could take out the things that we could do by just recommending a policy change that doesn't cost
Yeah.
money.
Anything that's policy, ordinance, plan, enact,
Yeah.
anything like that, you can put right in another bucket.
And just, yeah, put that in under a whole separate approach.
And
to
she
how-
there was one of these with links to sample ordinances next to it somewhere, but now I can't find it because we're very organized.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to the comprehensive plan, it's on the Wiscasset website and it's very easy to access. And we can, as I remember correctly, because I used it to fill out my priorities. And it seemed to me that the last time it was updated was at 2007. So there are lots of things there that have happened. And then we can see what might fall within our purview. All of these things are for all the towns in Maine, not just us. This was not created just for Wiscasset.
Correct.
So there's a lot of it we don't have to even look at or consider. But then we could maybe narrow it down to those that haven't been done, that are on a plan, no matter how dated, that haven't been realized yet, and that we should be moving towards.
I would say, was climate change considered at all in that comprehensive plan?
I don't remember. I know that 2 years ago when we started working on it again, people did several presentations to kind of bring us up to speed on that. I don't know where those presentations are, like recorded or anything. But I could, after the meeting Thursday, come back to our next meeting and bring whatever information up. Yeah.
That'd be great.
But I think we're on the right track with what Colleen was suggesting, because we talked about knocking things off the list that don't apply to us anyway. So,
Yeah, I would say, like, when we want to get feedback, we do a survey or meetings, keeping it broad would probably be good in terms of, you know, asking people what priorities they have that might reduce emissions, or what priorities they have that might increase our resilience to the impacts of climate change. Keeping it like pretty broad. Just my experience with the state plan was getting down in the weeds of like, give us our feedback on strategy A and then climate action plan. We don't want to go down there.
I rephrase the question from
What was the, is it improvements to? Yeah, the near-term improvements needed, so
Right, yeah.
I guess something, I don't know, something to the point of like,
what should be.
out of, what is this, I'm actually trying to use good terminology, out of the list of community resilience partnership actions or list of community actions, what two actions could Wiscasset set a goal as a near-term improvement or something to that?
I know where you're.
Yeah.
The way to send this out is just send it through the Wiscasset contacts. You know, people who sign up for emails from Wiscasset, those are the people who are interested in what's going on in the town. We're not gonna reach everybody.
I would say you could do the newspaper, social media, like,
Yeah, but we have a time limit, how fast we're gonna be able to get that out.
but you also would exclude certain people who don't even know it, please sign up for
Well, I'm not
that.
saying eliminate them, but I'm just saying a way to get to a lot of people.
I think there's money in this thing for mailers, isn't there?
There's,
So we'll do mailers.
Oh,
We've already got our print shop lined up.
can't we, well, but that's so messy, right? So much paper and then paper coming back that people have just.
No, not just a link, if you, on the, I'm thinking postcard, link, QR code. If you want to fill one out in person, come to the town office, so nothing gets mailed back. And we just do that, and then you can also do future public meeting to be announced. You'll see a second mailer.
yeah. Do we have the budget for 2 mailers?
No idea, never seen one.
Well, you only sent a few out.
Huh?
You only sent a few mailers out, right?
We sent that one out for broadband, so we know roughly how much
No, I'm
that
talking
would cost.
about when you ran for rep.
Oh, yeah, totally different ballpark.
I'd say to feed 2 birds with 1 stone. Or.
Yeah, feed them, kill them, yeah. Nobody's birds.
Thank you, my husband, for that much nicer phrase. Perhaps we could still identify our community meeting dates and send out a survey, and then we just commit ourselves to, we are going to analyze the survey results and use that to then select the meeting date or topics.
Yep, I like that idea.
And if we make those dates, that'll force us to
Yes,
get it to.
absolutely it will.
So we're ready to look at a calendar.
Do we want to hold 1 meeting or multiple meetings?
I would say max 2.
Yeah.
Judging by the energy and the
I agree.
enthusiasm.
Not to mention the attendance.
Yeah.
Attendance is tough. And then Cherie was really big, her biggest thing, she kept on emphasizing was weekends, and it's just like, best of luck to all for a weekend.
Yeah. I think it's just weekday nights is the best bet.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, school's gonna start up soon, there's gonna be, people are busy as always, and kids are gonna do sports, other clubs on the weekends, and.
And we gotta know if we have a venue, because that was almost
Right.
a issue today, so.
We've got the 3rd Monday of every month.
Right.
scheduled for this room.
Yeah, I think there's room for that, you wanna go probably the senior center at the rec or something.
The gym.
If you actually anticipate having more than 10 people show up.
Yeah, I would like to get into the school actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look good.
because we should be doing this with the school and the students anyway.
Completely.
Yep.
And they can send postcards with all the kids.
That's right. So you want to shoot for like a few weeks into the beginning of the school year?
When this is
For
school
our
year. So.
first meeting, I'm assuming after Labor Day. So like September 4th. So if we went for the week of the 18th,
Yeah,
Yes.
that would work.
which day?
For Wednesday,
We're changing from Monday.
Here's
this
an
is,
idea.
this is
When's
for our
the
public
next
meeting,
art?
not for this committee.
Is there an
Thank
art
you.
walk in September?
Is there what?
On the 31st of August. I just saw something on that.
Good idea, that.
Yeah, I was thinking that we could, yeah, maybe throw the idea out there, we could get feedback at the art walk as well, but, I was gonna say that Thursday, but no art walk. I'm fairly agnostic on,
There'll be a selectmen's meeting on the 5th and the 19th, right?
Yes.
First and third Tuesday.
so maybe we don't wanna conflict with them, so perhaps we
Right.
could invite them, so they could also come listen. Yeah.
How about the 20th?
The 20th.
Did you say yes to Wednesday or no? to Wednesday?
Yes to Wednesday. I think Mondays and Tuesdays, there's a lot of meetings going on, and Thursdays are Friday junior, so Wednesdays,
Yeah.
beautiful day.
How's that sound, everyone?
Yep, that works.
October.
September 20th.
For the first public meeting,
Yes, September 20,
which will be held where?
TBD. We're gonna find that out when we know that we can secure a venue.
Ooh. There is an art walk on September 28th.
On what?
September 28th.
Oh.
Yeah, they're going into September. We could also have that as like a one-off, like a table. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
that's
see that.
I
Sure.
agree.
If we got surveys by then, we can take them and,
Yeah,
you know, wherever
just
we're
have a
gonna be
QR
going.
code, talk about it.
The more the better. And then do you want to do it, is it another one a month later, or
Say what again?
another workshop a month later, or the second workshop a month later?
I will be out the entire week of October 16th. But the week after, we will. Or the week before.
Yeah, I think the week after is a good week. Yeah, that's the fourth week of October.
So, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but before we have these public meetings, what are we doing in the meantime before we have meetings?
Survey.
Just waiting on the
Apparently.
results?
I had an item for later in the agenda, which I could talk about, but we could also do some education. Just reviewing information that we want to review, learning more about climate impacts through.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it would be worth summarizing and simplifying this list too.
Yeah, definitely.
Is October 4th too close together? Because I'm just looking at the timeline that she gave us.
When do we need to, like, what's a good time to have it done by?
We're into doing, working directly on the grant the third week of October is what the,
So, yeah, we do want to get that feedback.
Do you want to do the second week of October?
or the first week.
First week seems like it'd be a little too quick. That's just my.
2 weeks, 2 weeks after the first one.
I would like 3. Personally. How's everybody else feel?
Yep, the 11th,
That'd be the 11th, yeah.
10th through 12th, 11th.
That would be the third public meeting.
That would be the second.
The second, oh, that's right, because you're gone September. Sometime.
So we've said September 20th, and then we've said October 11th
Okay.
as your pencil in days.
November 20th.
Yeah,
Public. Mhm. And the 11th.
And then how long were we thinking of holding it for an hour and a half minimum. I just feel like we're gonna need.
Sheree was emphasizing really long.
Like, yeah,
and
like
you've
4 to
got
8 hours.
45 minutes to make your
And
case,
it's,
if that.
yeah. Okay.
How long do you think you could sit here if we just talked like this, roughly? So far, how's your temperature?
Because of my mass confusion as to what's going on.
What do you think, we think?
If we were,
I'm willing to wait to get something
if we were presenting ideas on energy efficiency and these types of things and green spaces and community improvements, how long do you think your attention could be held? Or until
depends
you,
on who's giving the information.
absolutely.
Well, my thinking is this is for the town to give information to the committee, so that would go as long as the town has things to say, which I'm thinking would be not long. Few people have a lot to say can say it pretty tightly, in my experience. But I don't know, I think keeping it open-ended would be fine.
Thinking Colleen are keeping, just trying to project expectations low.
Yeah, well,
You really just don't think people are gonna show up?
I don't know.
People's energy flags severely after, I would say, 90 minutes.
Yes.
And if somebody's waiting around for, 80 minutes to talk, they'll.
I mean, we can't even get a good portion of this town to vote.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I'm not trying to be negative, but
Realistic.
We can
Right.
tell them
yeah, I hope people come.
we can
but-
tell them a drug rehab thing is moving into town.
Yeah.
They're coming make comments
That's
about it,
Yeah,
and then say,
You
oh,
get
just
somebody to
kidding.
donate baked goods.
Just fear mongering always works.
yeah.
Food usually helps.
Is a Zoom meeting with a live chat not an option we could consider, because everybody participates?
Yep.
Lots of people.
We can definitely do that.
Someone might be monitoring. the
Is
chat.
there any way to see the people that have zoomed in?
Yeah, I would assume that we would.
On this
do
right now?
a Zoom.
Do you
Going
know what
along
to
with it.
do?
And
You-
you say that
during
You,
the-
Heather, you be up here.
You don't have to be in a big venue,
Oh, I see.
you could do this, because we won't have a lot of people show up.
And then
But
You,
people might
Heather,
dial
and
in
then-
after a long day.
Yeah.
And join,
nothing
and
exciting.
try,
Yeah.
because the shot takes your shot all
I'll be
through
your
the
shepherd.
day.
Yes. Just have someone monitor the chat.
Yeah.
Suzy Q has this question.
Exactly. Is that gonna be chaotic, or would that be more inclusive?
No, I think
That would
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
inclusive,
That would be.
and we should just be already planning. Actually,
So in place of a community meeting or
That's
in
fine.
person,
Yeah, if we had public meetings here in this room, if we could, we've got, and have a Zoom link and have a live chat. People can come and sit in the audience, or they can participate over Zoom.
oh, I see,
Mhm.
Like tonight.
like tonight.
Like tonight.
yeah, I like that.
I mean, some people are tired after a long day of work, and the kids have come home from school and are having dinner. Maybe they'd be more apt to dial in, maybe that's cooler than coming to a staff
The
chat.
time is problematic, I think, for
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like hybrid meetings.
yeah, hybrid meeting, exactly, yeah.
You wanna get people interested, you could put the town is interested in spending $2 million on energy efficiency. That'll get them there.
Get them on tour, just works.
We're raising taxes to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we need to put a survey together, put something together for this mailer, and maybe it's gonna go in the paper too, or I'm not really clear on getting the word out.
We'll also talk to Sheree about the mailer budget. We'll have to confirm that we have a venue for meeting one. We'll have to get the survey together to then, I'm looking dead at you, because no skills on putting the survey together. What else do we need to put on there? That's it, right? So once we have the survey ready and we've confirmed the venue, we get the budget for the mailers, and we can press go.
We can also put information about this in the press release, which might get picked up by the newspaper. And I think there are multiple press releases planned. So I assume we can get that out.
Yep.
Sure. There's also a rather active Wiscasset Facebook group.
Yes, I was going to mention that, but I know Facebook is a little hacked for some folks, but there are a lot of members, a lot of folks in town who go to Facebook.
Absolutely.
Didn't we elect somebody to do the public?
Hi,
Oh,
nice to see you.
sorry.
What else do you want to know?
You were elected, okay. My memory.
I was voluntold.
Good man.
Facebook's a good idea.
Thank you.
Excuse me, is Marty the timekeeper? I mean, is there a time on the agenda that we start and end? I'm asking because I normally leave at 7.
Yeah, we've got it scheduled to 7:30.
Where is that?
Right here from our discussions in the back.
Well, I thought that
We
was,
just,
I don't know if that was decided after I left.
we voted on, no, you were still here last week. You were still here last week when we talked about that.
Yes, and I said I have to leave at 7.
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, if you have to go, yeah, that's okay, if you have to go, that's okay.
Okay, well, I have you on Zoom anyhow.
No one's on Zoom?
Correct.
So the meeting's on Zoom.
Yeah, the meeting's being recorded.
You still have enough for a quorum.
Yes.
Yep. So do we want to get on to new business, or
Yeah, well,
what do we have to iron out?
I'm curious if Sheree would want to be the person that sends the survey out, or if she's okay with one of us doing it, or one of us doing it, she reviews it, because it sounds like we're gonna narrow it down.
Yeah.
Questions to review of this
Yeah.
committee.
The power dynamics,
Yeah,
I don't know.
We should.
Don't want to step on anyone's toes, kind of
Also,
thing.
she's getting paid, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever we want to
So-
force the person to get paid.
We should ask her if she can assist with setting it up or analyzing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she wants us to do as much as we can on our own, but it would be good to run things by her.
Cause like having the format of the actions is professional. I know how to make Google Forms, but I don't know if I know how to copy and paste this into it, so.
What do you want to talk about the compost?
I'd love to. I would be happy to talk about composting. So I know that this doesn't, it kind of fits in one of these categories, but it doesn't quite fit in any of these categories, but I still think that it could be a great short-term program. I've talked to folks that are getting something off the ground at Danverstata, and they are working with a company called Scrap Dogs out of Rockland, I think they are. And what Scrap Dogs is doing in Danverstata is working with commercial entities to pick up, they're going to pick up food scraps, bring them back to their facility, provide compost for folks that want compost. And so they're going to get that started in fall. And then they may consider doing some sort of private, meaning like residential pickup. So I've talked to Scrap Dogs, and they are, they're very interested since they're already going to be coming to Danverstata. They just needed us to find 3 restaurants here in town that want to participate. So I talked to Treats, they are interested. I've talked to, in a silent way, they're not quite ready. I've sent the information to Joe and Roger. I don't know yet whether they're going to participate. All the store would love to, but they're a little far. So Jen is going to get in touch with Water Street Kitchen. I don't know if she has yet, but we're kind of close to having enough restaurants participating. Then if you get them here, then what I'd like to try to convince them to do is start a pilot program for curbside pickup for residences just in the village. And also I want to talk to Kim Anderson or somebody at the schools about whether schools are currently participating in any curbside scrap programs. Yeah, so that's where I am with that. Okay, make this headway. Yeah, if we can find a category that this fits in, then maybe we'd have a little bit of money to promote it and or to help offset the cost and or to help offset the cost of a pilot program for residents in town. So
Do you know what the scale of the cost is?
the scale of the cost, meaning how much does it cost per business, per person?
Or, yeah, the pilot with the restaurants at least.
For retail food partners, they pick up, Scrap Dogs will pick up 132 gallons per week, and it's only $30 per week.
Would the restaurants or the businesses cover that themselves?
Yes, they would. So the restaurants would pay for that service. That would get Scrap Dogs here in town. Once we have them here picking up, making it worth their while to actually drive here, then maybe we can figure out a way to offset the cost to pick up from houses downtown, or even just a local drop-off point with school buses. The problem with the local drop-off point is, where is that going to be? People still have to put their bucket in their car, and some people are squeamish about that. I know. I look, you know how it is. It's dirty.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be really awesome, especially if we can get the schools to participate, because then you've got kids thinking about food waste in a different way. They've got access to compost, and they maybe have a community garden or have a garden at the school.
Oh, that's good. Camden Rockport has their own. They collect their own compost, they have a compost pile, they garden, and they also have a very active compost sale every spring.
That's a great idea.
Which is a great fundraiser. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you guys know what I find out.
What can we do to show us support?
Anybody have any friends that are part of the school districts that you could speak to, say Kim Anderson and or Lori, somebody's the head of food programs at school, thinking of Abraham.
The new principal?
No, there's somebody that's in charge of food programs at the school. If you don't know anybody, I'll just keep on flailing around, I'll find out who it is.
I don't think there's in like an environmental club or anything in the school, and in Camden Rockport High School, it was the environmental club that pushed the school to do the concert composting.
There used to be the
Teams for
science
Trails,
club. Oh, yes.
that's right up their alley.
What is that?
Teams for Trails, Teams to Trail.
They're kind of hooked with the outing club here.
Yeah.
There used to be a science club. I don't know how active it is now, but.
Do you guys know anybody in either of those two groups, Teams Trails or Science Club?
Does he still work there? And
He's
does he?
retired.
Don't
Unless Wyatt Ray, he's a science teacher. I don't know if he took over the science club.
Yeah.
It was Carol Lady, she and her husband started to teach some trails, but they're retired, they're not part of the step away.
Have a good one.
See you soon.
Bye.
The bowling in the Kia. That's Flemish. As I just explained, I lived for 32 years in Antwerp, Belgium. I picked up a few words and told the bowling and the care means until the next time.
Very good.
Thank you for the goodbye. Ciao.
Okay, so if any of you guys have any connections, Music Trails or Science Club or anybody else you know,
It's like kid.
at this, that would, yeah, that could help us find the kids at school that would help us drive this program.
Are you looking at like both schools or just one school? Either or open?
If you just call the schools up and ask,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
Principal
we're doing
might-
now, but you asked me how
I don't-
you could help.
I don't know
Is that
any
anything else?
contacts in school.
They just ask, they
I
just
know
check
Ken-
the Jason button.
I know the superintendent, I'm gonna try to get a meeting with Ken.
Okay, well, thank you. That would be really helpful. She could at least point us in.
Yeah, like I know teachers that like I talk to, but
Okay.
they're teachers. I don't know.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, they have an organization for theater scholars, and that's with schools, and that's very successful.
I've never heard of
Very well
that.
organized.
So was it a St. Philip's?
Yeah.
Yeah. I should know.
I don't know anything
It's,
about that. That's through St. Philip's?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, but they're gonna be meeting, last year was at the school, I should know, because I'm supposed to be there, but, I know I'll be there. But it deals with all the principals and all that sort of stuff, and getting all of these kids and their parents together.
Okay.
So, I would talk to somebody like Gretchen Johnson, or Mary Coventry.
They also have their Set for Success event on this coming Sunday, so probably some of those people will all be together in one location.
They're setting up on Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Well, if anybody ends up going to any of these things,
I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
And what do you want me to do?
Network, I don't know, ask around. I won't be able to go, so I won't be there.
I'm not sure what I'd be networking, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think the best thing is, if you're gonna talk to Kim Anderson, I think that's the way to go. She knows everybody and everything. She's superintendent. She can both connect us to the right people and maybe give us a little bit of a, open up some doors for us.
We can feed a few words with that stuff.
Yes.
And if you want to connect to anybody at the Cameron Rockport schools, to learn how they've done it.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you could email me.
I can email you.
Thank you.
and
Okay.
some contacts.
Okay, thank you. That's my update.
All right, thank you. Okay, new business. I put in there informal discussion on committee interests and priorities. Because I kind of feel like we tried to have this conversation informally a few times at our past meetings. So I just wanted to create a space for having it now, which is kind of like, like Sri sent me a suggested agenda for tonight that was entirely community resilience project. My feeling is that that is one activity that this committee wants to do. And we need to make that more efficient so we have room for the other things that we want to do. And part of that is like pulling off the policy-based, cost-free items from this list and getting on. So that's kind of where my thinking was. So does anybody have thoughts or whatever to say about that?
I would say stack them up and then wait until we've got the thing submitted.
We put them on deck and then get to them.
Right, because honestly, if we do an hour, 2 weeks, 2 times a month, 2 hours a month, then we're covering what we're here to do in the first place. So once we get the thing submitted, I think that's a good time to start looking at everything else.
I agree. Yeah.
And then if this thing turns into a every year thing, then you've got like 6 months of that type of stuff, and then 6 months or whatever, a couple months you're doing another grant project or whatever. That's my 2 cents.
My concern about keeping us focused just on CRP is because there are other things that are sort of big ticket items that maybe have a bigger price tag for us. example, one thing is advocating for safety with the nuclear power, or with the nuclear fuel. Dennis sent an article to me today that was talking about the effect of sea level rise on that storage site, which could change the safety,
Oh, yes.
the safety profile of what that is. So this group might want to sort of create an advocacy function to help make the case that Yankee should be spending, more in taxes here than they think they should be doing, which could be a very
It's a really good idea.
impactful amount of money. And so that kind of, for me, kind of prioritize the CRP into more of a long-range planning thing. Because I'm thinking if we get 2 years of this, that's $120,000, and that's something, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of thinking of CRP as kind of getting us into the stream of funding that will come for a long period of time. So I want to do both, is what I'm saying. So if we were to set up, if we would put ideas on deck and then get to them as we can, that would be one approach. But I'd also want us to be able to be responsive to things that come up that we should be attending to as well.
Yeah, and we do have, and Sri did mention that we have access to professionals, state professionals that are funded. And if we need expertise, like that feels like it's a very high level, big problem that we need some experts to weigh in on, right? We, like you guys did last week, create a subcommittee that would just focus on that specific thing. Right, I mean, I think we're.
Those are two
pretty
different
busy.
subjects.
What's that?
Those are two different subjects. They're
Yes, I
focusing-
know.
That subgroup is focusing on utilization of the property. What Heather is saying is the sea level rise is a
Yeah.
problem for that area.
I get it. I understand. What I was trying to say, Marty, is that the idea of a subcommittee is a good idea, and maybe that would be yet another subcommittee. Right?
Well, we could all be involved there, having a meeting, Kevin, I think
Mhm.
the Maniac is having their yearly meeting
Yep.
to the public.
Yeah.
We could attend that and ask them a question.
Yep. I would encourage people to go to that anyway, you might learn something.
I asked the question last year.
They
was it
talked-
Last year or 2 years ago?
Last year probably,
Yeah.
I wasn't at the one too.
I asked the question of the vulnerability of the storage tank. They answered it, but I don't know whether or not I believe it.
They weren't concerned in the least,
Right.
neither am I. Elevation,
Right. So,
we'll trade, because you're the one that's not supposed to be concerned.
Okay, well, that helps me.
I see your point. I think you've convinced me, Heather, that dedicating some time to ongoing questions, or new things that come up would be important to do in the next several months as we are applying for the community resilience program and joining. I will say one personal priority for me also is to ensure that climate change is considered in the comprehensive plan and kind of responding and helping to inform that process. Because I think we could really help hopefully make that process a bit easier. That's a great idea.
I share that. That's one of the reasons I make sure to get on that committee so that I can be there to make sure that happens.
Great.
I kind of saw that committee and this one being a good fit for each other to work together. So I tried to get a foot in each one.
So I met with Peter yesterday, and he was interested in having the comprehensive plan to include Wisconsin being a clean energy town, focusing on that aspect of it. And he was going to talk to Carla. I don't know if he would, because Carla Dickstein is also on that committee. And you said they're meeting in a couple of days?
Yeah, I think so.
So the flag, we've got about 10 minutes left.
2 days. We have our first meeting. It's been a long time coming. Okay,
Well, in my email, on another subject, under projects and stuff, under the Johnson Control, I sent the information I wanted to in an email.
Yeah.
That basically said, it seems like the budget committee is gonna be taking that up with Johnson Control.
well, both of us.
Well, I'm just saying, they're setting up a meeting, and I don't know if people want to be invited to that.
Yeah, that was the intention at the meeting. The discussion was about setting that meeting up and then inviting both
Okay,
committees.
you were at that meeting today.
Yeah, that's the other committee I'm on. So this one, comprehensive plan and the budget committee. It's kind of a little
Right, but
little
the,
triangle of power.
Yes.
I just want to make sure the work is getting, progressing is all I want.
so you will, because I forwarded people, the email that Tom wrote, that a potential date. So we, let the committee know when the meeting with Johnson Controllers.
Yes. Yeah, I'm meeting with Tom also on Thursday. So we can clarify that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so meeting protocols. So just generally, when I'm talking about the process that Wiscasset already has, set up for doing this kind of work. I think Evan shared the community handbook last week. And Robert's rules is what our ordinance says that we're supposed to follow for management and organization of meetings, which I find it to be, I find Robert's rules to be really, really interesting and cool. It's like a behavioral program. And if you follow it, you get a clean democratic process out of it. It's really brilliant. But, it's been used and revised for like 600 years or something. It comes from old English law kind of thing. It's been well tested. When we need to like make decisions formally, that's what we'll use. And then I was thinking, because this meeting happened so quickly after the last one, and I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I was thinking that this off week meeting might be better if we were to hold it more as like a workshop, which I feel like we did. I have been doing tonight, where not everything has to be voted on and formally decided, so we can just kind of talk and get through things. So that's what that was for. And then the seating arrangement, obviously that was unplanned last week. And so we'll want to make sure in our meetings, we'll keep that separate so that we can conduct our business. And then public comment, obviously all of our meetings are public. And so people are invited to attend. They're not necessarily, they don't necessarily have a right to speak at the meetings, but I think we want to, no, you're fine. I think we want to facilitate that as much as possible. But just saying we want to have people speak in the meeting doesn't mean that anybody gets to speak whenever. We can set aside a time for that, whatever. So it's really kind of allows us to be as inclusive as we can or want to be, and then to tighten it up with procedures if we need to.
Right. I think the way that the select board meetings are run should be, we should do something similar. A topic comes up, the public gets to weigh in. There is even a time for public comment on items not on the agenda. So I think that works pretty well, and it's not too chaotic. And, last week was what we shouldn't do.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
That could be at the end of the meeting, so that people would have any questions of what we discussed. The other thing I had suggested to Jen was to write down if you have a question, write it down and give it to me, then I can present it. Well, obviously, you didn't.
Yeah, I think, I agree, I think maybe setting time after topics and at the end would be great to have public input. I also think maybe setting expectations at the beginning of our meetings to the public, just announcing what we're going to do will help keep any chaos down. Because people will know they will have the opportunity to speak and we told them how to do that.
That's a good idea.
I think getting the agenda submitted a week in advance, like it's supposed to do, will help that a lot, because then people have the agenda, they'll know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, excellent.
So our meetings will be on down calendar now.
Yeah, we've got it scheduled, we've got the room reserved, third Mondays. And then like this extra first Monday meetings, we can handle as a workshop. Which is also, it's the same, it's publicly noticed, but we won't plan on voting on anything on these, on the off.
Yeah.
And then one other thing to mention, which just came up today, and I put it in the email, it's just to keep our discussion in the meeting. Between call to order and adjournment, because that's where the public discussion happens. So if we just avoid having a discussion on email, because that's, nobody's doing that, but you could use that to bias, push the discussion in a direction you want it to go. That's more of a risk from the select board. But here we're just kind of like navigating preferences, so it's not as urgent, but it's still a good proactive step to just avoid getting cross. So does anybody have anything to add on that?
So I was just wondering if you were referring to my email or.
Well, really, your email is like, yeah, okay, let's not discuss this here, but then Shree's email with this like volume of information, I was just like, okay, everybody stop.
Okay, because I basically did the same thing with as you know, the budget committee. And I wanted to give them more information about just the slide presentation was not enough, to me.
The best way to do that is to bring that information to the meeting.
Yeah, but there's no scheduled meeting until we meet with Johnson Control.
Well, what I'm saying, the information that you wanted to share in that email today,
Right.
the best way to do that would be to bring it to the meeting
But it's
on paper.
But it's something the members should have been informed of before the meeting.
I don't see why. Like what you sent us today, you could have brought just tonight. Instead of sending in an email, you could just brought it to the meeting tonight. That's the change that I'm asking for.
Yeah.
But this way all the members have it for.
I think the way the state does it is any substantive discussion has to happen in a public forum that's publicly accessible. You can provide background information, I think.
Oh, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it wrote it, it's a little on the edge a little bit, but that's totally, we're learning as a committee. But yeah, making any arguments or like advocating, that would probably be substantive discussion that we need to hold here, but providing just a slide deck for background information would be okay, as long as we weren't trying to sway anyone.
Right, so what Tom did, somebody did respond to my email, and Tom, the chairperson of the committee, went back and said that he didn't want a discussion going on about it. But he didn't, I think it was more, you don't want people going back and forth, I supplied the information.
You don't want a paper trail so that someone can do an FOAA request. And then somebody said something rude about somebody and then we're all assholes.
Right, but
That's what
I basically informed the committee, whatever.
The other thing is if you share information that way, then people who come to the meeting might not have seen it. And so then they're gonna be behind in the discussion and what everybody else is aware of. So that's why it's just best to bring that information to the meeting. If it didn't get disseminated beforehand, it will get disseminated at the meeting. And then if we need to add a conversation about it at the next meeting, we can do that.
Maybe we
Okay.
should run things by you individually first.
That
You
was,
wanna share?
yeah, that
Like
was the
send
other
things to
thing.
you for the
You can
agenda.
send it to me, I can put it on the agenda, and if it's information to be disseminated ahead of time, I can send that out with the agenda as well. So that way everybody has the same chance to have everything.
And have we
No.
determined whether we have a public site to post agendas and then it's something that's town?
Not yet, no. I mean, I was going all over the place today, trying to find an alternative place to this room,
Oh, yeah.
because the cemetery committee, I emailed them days ago to ask if they were gonna hold their meeting, they said they were going to, and they canceled it today. So like a good 2 hours of work today, I didn't have to even do.
Oh, sorry.
So, it's like,
Thank you for your
it's, so, yes, we'll get there, but
Yeah.
it just takes, okay, we've got that one done.
Yeah.
Let them go have a weekend, come back next week, test their, take their temperature, do their pulse, see if they can handle the next thing. They're not gonna watch this video, so I can say these things.
May I bring up the Lexington?
Yes.
Quickly, I know we're at time.
That's fine.
Being a good scientist and somebody who likes information a lot, I wanted to just ask the group, and this might be more for our next meeting, we can talk at more length, but just, is there any collective learning we want to do together, any information we want to get? Like I would like to ask some questions of our manager, and if there are any climate data or presentations we'd like, I think it would be great to identify that. That way we can sort of work that into our schedule, so we're on the same page.
So are you saying each meeting we have some section we need to go to, or somebody coming in to teach us something?
Yeah, something like that, or if we all commit to reading the comprehensive plan, or, just sort of making sure we are working from the same information.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to volunteer to talk about any climate data, like the hard science climate data, climate impacts. That's my area of expertise, so I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
You said collective learning, so I'm forwarding an email from Dennis of something you probably already know about. SOS Saco Bay 2023 Coastal Conference.
It does sound slightly familiar. Thank you. I'll look at it. Okay. I yield the floor.
What's that?
I yield the floor.
Oh.
September 21st is the Maine Yankee Community Advisory Panel meeting.
Thank you.
They have one per year. Miss it or don't.
You said September 21st?
Correct.
Did you send the link to everybody?
Yep. It is at 4 p.m. at the Monswig Restaurant upstairs.
Wow.
You're definitely make it proper timing for those who work.
What's typically what was it again? What time?
4 o'clock in the afternoon on the
Well,
21st of
That's
September.
calculated.
Yeah.
Community involvement. We should comment on that.
That's kind of a funny thing they're doing. They're basically having the same meeting every year.
Yep.
For the purpose of having the meeting.
Yep.
Just to keep it alive. Like
Yes.
there's nothing new to share. There's no reason to talk about
They're just doing
anything
that
else.
for due diligence.
It's just, yes, they're
Yep.
just keeping the activity going. It's kind of
So
like
if we show up,
union labor protests in France. They just do it to cycle the system.
so if we show up all hot, coming all hot with some questions that we want to ask them and.
They've heard them all. They'll give it to you pretty flatly.
If it's fresh, they'll eat it up because they're like, we're here to do stuff. And if you got something new to do, they'll.
I view it the same, but a little differently. It's kind of like a meeting of old ball players from the Yankees. They'd be like, well, it was our glory days and it's over and the waste is still there. And Biden's administration isn't going to get done. So maybe it will be the Trump, DeSantis, Kamala Harris administration that'll get it done. They actually went into quite a deep discussion last year over New Mexico and Texas sites that they're trying to get to store the waste, but at this point, we don't want the waste to leave,
So
so.
I have a nickel for every time Yucca Mountain was stated.
Oh, that's about 20 years.
Well, we were looking at Yucca Mountain, yeah, like 20 years ago, and we shut up about Yucca Mountain.
It's actually probably a question for our federal delegation.
They have their set answers too.
Yeah, I think Lockman or King's rep or whoever, everybody has a personal rep at that meeting, so.
They call it the Stranded Act, if that tells you anything.
So what Dennis sent you, is that something we could pass around at the meeting?
What, the
About
Saco Bay thing?
About the water rising being a problem?
Oh, yeah,
Another Bangor Daily News or something?
yeah,
I like clicked on it this morning, but I couldn't do it.
I can forward that to everybody too, once I can find it. Somebody teach me some tools on these computers.
Boy, do we have classes for you to take.
I know all those.
Okay. Do we have anything else that we're out of time that we're on? any other
When's
business?
our next meeting?
It would be the third Monday
21st?
21st.
of next month, yes. Or no, of
This
this month, yeah, the 21st. I've already got that. No,
Who's Lisa Hudson, is that?
that's
Lisa's-
Lisa Fickey.
Okay. Sure, we got all the right people.
Do we need to officially close this out?
Yeah. Move to adjourn at 7:35.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are you RISE Doc Cassan?